This is the Transformation Agenda series on education. Transformation Agenda series on education.
Good morning and welcome to the Transformation Agenda series on education. It's another beautiful Saturday morning and we are here once again to have another beautiful conversation. Of course, we are continuing the one that we began last week with Professor Edward Appiah, Director General of NACA. We're going to talk about the new curriculum, the update on the new curriculum. And so I will activate the phone lines in the middle of the conversation so you can call us and ask your questions. I am Abraham Edu and I'm your host for this morning. Stay tuned and enjoy this educative program. God bless you.
Is low on grass.
Transformation Agenda series on education, your most educative program on radio.
So Wesley Girls High School celebrated its 187th anniversary, where the Minister for Education, Honorable Dr. Yao Seduchum, joined the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, at the joyous celebration and speech and prize-giving day. So during the celebration, the President commended the school's contribution to education in Ghana and encouraged students to strive for excellence. The minister reaffirmed the government commitment to investing in education and ensuring every child has opportunity to fulfill their potential and contribute positively to society. And as part of our effort to improve educational infrastructure, the minister and the president commissioned 6 modern science laboratories at the Wesley Girls High School, providing students with cutting-edge resources for hands-on learning experiences. The atmosphere at the event was filled with joy as present and past students, teachers and dignitaries celebrated the school's achievements. Witnessing the dedication of the school's community of excellence in integrity and service was truly inspiring. The minister was honored to be part of the program, said he eagerly anticipates witnessing continued success of Wesley Girls High School in the future. I believe that we all heard the incident that occurred at the Bree Girls Senior High School. So upon hearing the news, the minister visited the school to personally extend his sympathies and offer support to the school community during this difficult time. He met with the headmistress and all other officials to discuss the circumstances surrounding the student passing and to ensure that appropriate measures are being taken to provide support and assistance to the affected student and staff. He offered his deepest condolences to the Bree Girls Senior High School and the family of the student. Prayed for them that they find strength and solace during this challenging time. Ebe fama weni aje.
This is the Transformation Agenda series on education with Abraham Edu. This is the Transformation Agenda series on education with Abraham This is Transformation on Wednesday.
Good morning to you, Honorable Dr. Yawose Ruchum, Minister for Education. Good morning to you, Honorable Reverend Johnny Timfodjo, Deputy Minister for Education, General Education. Good morning to you, Honorable Gifty Chumampofo. Wherever you are, God bless you. You've served so well. Good morning to you, all directors of education across the 16 regions of this country. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, all teachers. Good morning to you, directors of education. Good morning to you, Reverend Father Dr. Ernest Ajiman, Head Chaplain at Chimota School. Good morning to you, Madam Felicia, Ms. Lomo, Stopford House at Chimota School. Good morning to you all. And good morning to you listening to us. It's a blessing having you connecting with us this morning. I want to say God bless you. We bless God for today. So we're going to continue our conversation that we began last week with Professor Edward Appiah. He's the Director General of NACA. He listened to our prayer and he's right here again. As busy as he is, he made time to be here with us last week, and today he's here once again. This is how we serve our country. This is how we learn to show dedication and commitment to duty.
You are the Lord strong and mighty, so you are worthy to be praised. This is the Transformation Agenda series on education with Abraham
right. Good morning to you, Professor Edward Appiah.
Good morning, Bishop.
You are blessed.
Bishop, you're also blessed.
You are blessed and highly favored. Thank you very much for coming again. Last week we were here, and we are grateful that you have been able to make it today as well. All right. Before we begin the conversation. Last week we had a few points that you raised, and before you go back to remind us of those things, I want to say something, ask you a question that I should have asked last week. We listened to the Vice President's vision.
You're right.
Trying to become the president of the country, and he mentioned having a curriculum that has to do with the mindset change. You heard that, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, before he said, I've heard a minister go around schools and talk about the mind changing our mindset. I mean, he's been preaching that for quite some time. I remember one day I was sitting at the secretariat, and I think he was going to the northern region, and I heard Madam Afran talk about the fact that he was going to talk about the change in mindset. And so as I listened to him, I'm a student of the minister, right? So I listened to him a lot, and I realized that he keeps repeating that. He went to Kumasi, Ashanti region, he did that. He went to the eastern region, the northern region, Greater Accra, he did that. Do you think that it's something that we have to follow? Is it something so special that has to be dealt with, or have a curriculum that is built around something like that?
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning, Bishop, and to your listeners and viewers.
Yeah.
I think that it's important we put some of these things in context. You know, sometimes people, I sit in the office and so many people come, they say, please do we want you to add this to the curriculum? We want to have a curriculum on this. We, apart from having our main curriculum, there are other aspects that we can add on, but it's not a mainstream curriculum.
Okay.
And so it is important that when you are developing your curriculum, you look at what actually is happening in your context, what actually is happening even around the world, and you see how best you can fit those things in. Okay. Some of them might not be black and white, but some of them are intrinsic, and therefore, as the teacher or whoever is teaching and leading, you become so intentional in trying to make sure that or drum home those things. Okay. And one aspect is a positive mindset of an individual. I have a friend who had set up a library in her house. She's living in a community where she felt that the children there are more or less a deprived community. So she decided to help them by setting up a library, more or less an English classes sort of. And the first few weeks, what she did was to override your surroundings. And so teachers, and let me also emphasize that teachers are makers of change. A word from a teacher can change the life of a student positively or negatively. And so this growth mindset, it's part of a way that we build in curriculum to show the possibility of an individual or a learner to be able to overcome challenges. One of the disadvantages or the feedback that we are getting is that, okay, we want to do additional mathematics. Are we not depriving others who are? But interestingly, our structure is said that it is not just for maths, additional mathematics for science students. The Vice Chancellor of University of Health and
Allied Sciences.
Yes, in Ho. How she was forcibly making a case for nursing students in the subject that we have arranged. And I'm saying, wow, the person who is even trying to do nursing has not even thought that she's able to do biology, chemistry, and even the general science and become a medical officer or a nurse. But here is a woman who thinks that it is possible and we should give them the chance. And that is what the aviation activities. But the idea, I was there when a friend of mine who went to Fiakobi just posted that video to me, and she was just so. I called her and she was so shouting. Have you seen what my school is doing?
Yeah.
And you could see the excitement.
Yeah.
You said you said we are. She was using some words which
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to use
Yeah.
on radio.
Yeah.
But then I said, it is important for us to understand that. Yes, you might be a category C school, a category B school, but you are capable of achieving beyond what category C or B school is. It's all about our mindset. It's all about mindset.
All right, thank you very much.
I remember coming to Ministry of Education as a deputy minister, and were then continuing the work left behind by the NDC in finishing the National Strategic Plan for Education. Sat through a meeting where the then chief director was talking about Ghana has to have a goal for the 60-40. 60% of students in the sciences and 40% humanities, and he was saying it with such a passion and has suggested some timelines. So I had a question for him, and I said, Chief, you have only about 10% of your students in science at the high school. How do you change 10% to 60%? And then he said, we've never thought about that. But they've written it in the speeches of ministers for education, the president, to talk about 60-40. Recently took a look, and they said it's 39% for science. And I asked them, check the degrees that is included in the 39, and I realized I include land economy and a whole lot of, any course that is BSc is looked at as science. We are kidding ourselves. We are not even anywhere close to where we think we are. And especially when we tell our students that if you did not do science at high school, you can't change your mind. Even if you have an epiphany, and you said, I want to be the best engineer in the world, our system says, hey, you didn't do science. You need not even dream about that. So, Mensa who had a dream. And in the dream, he was speaking with God, and God was saying, Kojo, you're going to be the best engineer the world has ever known. And Kojo said, God, please, it's not possible. And God said, I created you, I know your beginning, and I know your end, and you will be the best engineer in the world. Then Kojo said, God, with all due respect, I have to challenge you on this. And God gave him the opportunity to explain why. He said, God, I'm a young man growing up in Ghana, and I'm doing visual arts at high school. So there's no way I can become an engineer, much less the best engineer the world has ever known. But what Kojo didn't know, that God knew Kojo was going to travel to the United States of America, and when he gets there, he can become an engineer. Why can't that happen in Ghana? But it's happening now, and that gladdens my heart. Go to UMass and Pentecost University, and you have close to about 300 students, if not more, this year enrolled in pre-engineering. And when they pass their competency exams, they will move on to pursue engineering. Even though it's taking them 5 years, they've gotten the opportunity. How can you talk about engineering without innovation? And there's young men and women who can innovate and think and look at you and draw you and look at bridges and draw new bridges and design new cars. We tell them that you cannot be an engineer, and then we ask the engineering student who did mathematics and physics to take a drawing class when they get to the School of Engineering. That we want them to innovate. But those who can innovate already are not being helped to know their calculation and their numbers so that they can be the best engineers the world has ever known. Ghana has to change. And Ghana and Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is changing. Many things are happening in the education space.
So that was the Minister for Education on Kojo Mensah's story. I just confirmed what Professor Edward Appiah said.
Transformation Agenda series on education, your most educative program on radio.
All right, so Prof, We are back.
Thank you.
Great. All right. So let's talk about our topic for today. Last week you explained a few things to us. We had a few callers that called in to ask a lot of questions. Now, one question that we didn't exhaust that we ended was a question about the fact that we are talking about Ghana Skill and Knowledge Bank, right? And I think you played a role in that system. Now, you was asking about students not being given access to use mobile phones and all that. We give them assignments; they have to come home and use mobile phones, but they are not asked to use mobile phones. So elsewhere, children can play with the laptop or the computer. They have a lot of skill about it. Our children don't have that much because we're trying to now do it. And for phones, what is the situation now? When are we going to get to the level where we allow our students to go to school? And at which level are we allowing them to go to school?
All right. As I indicated last week, we are trialing these subjects, the new curriculum, in 33 schools. We are trialing all the subjects. Now, in developing the curriculum, there are areas where we expect technology to play a leading role. And the schools that are trialing these are using the technology. They are using the laptops.
Okay.
And where even they are using mobile phones, it is expected that the teachers know how to handle that.
Okay.
What we are doing, and as I speak with you, the discussion is ongoing with GES and the ministry, trying to look at the policy and see how best that will inform the use of laptops and tablets for schools. You see, we could have tablets that are specifically designed for classroom activity, and they will be available in school, and for which students can make use of. We are looking at schools that have interactive blackboards, and that are part of tablets. Okay, so the discussion is ongoing because we featured them in the new curriculum, and we expect that children should use them. So if nothing at all, I can say that for the senior high schools, it is possible that by the time we roll out, a review of the policy had been done, and then they can start using some of the tablets. They might not probably be using all time, but at the time that they need it, they will.
Thank you very much. So let's go to the updates that we were talking about last week. Yeah.
Okay. So let me start by, there was a question that came up after, and I think you were even trying to draw my attention to, and the fact that the courses that are being run at the STEM are basically for the STEM schools. Okay, so the STEM schools are doing biomedical engineering, they are doing aviation and aerospace, they are doing manufacturing engineering, they are doing engineering sciences, and they are doing robotics. Now, even though the STEM schools are doing it, what it means is that if a school decides to stay with biomedical engineering, they will be doing all the sciences, the science, physics, chemistry, biology, whatever, but they will be focusing also on biomedical engineering. The same thing applies to school that chooses aerospace engineering. However, we are expecting the non-science schools to be able to use some of these if the situation is good for them and their condition is good for them. Now we've set up, the ministry have set up some STEM centers in various schools. Those schools are not STEM schools, but have STEM centers. What it means that schools around and the schools in there could make use of their centers and develop their STEM and these STEM. So even though we have the subjects for the STEM schools, the non-STEM schools are capable of picking these courses and running them, and they are all there. If the school, by the virtue of the headmaster or the head mistress being proactive, think that I want my children or my school to also do this, they can pick any of these subjects and do it, especially robotics and computing. We believe that any school is capable of doing it. So it's not restricted to just the STEM schools, even though they have their STEM focus subjects are doing. All other schools can do that.
This brings a question to mind. You have schools that are piloting certain programs. Let's look at the French, for example. Right. How long does it take for, say, you are trying with maybe 30 schools? How long does it take? No, it's just an example I'm giving. How long does it take for say you bring up for like STEM education, for let's use STEM. STEM isn't so, but I just want to use STEM. And you say that, okay, so we are going to apply the STEM curriculum to 13 schools and see how it runs. Then we spread it across all the other on board other schools. When we start these programs, how long does it take for other schools to get it? So I'm looking at the French, for example.
Okay.
You have those who Harry Ware went to do a documentary on French. Now this school is now doing French. They are studying math in French, science in French, and other things. Other schools are not.
But that we had a feedback. We looked at the ups and the downs, and we corrected them, and then removed them, and we are going back to trial them finally, because now even before after the last year trialing, and we put the documents together, we sent this document to international reviewers to benchmark it with other countries and to review. And I must say that they were positive about what we have put together. In this, some of our negatives was that we had of the fact that we have moved the additional mathematics. You know, we used to have subjects that were crisscrossing in core maths and additional mathematics. The unfortunate thing was that the marking scheme for integrated science is different from the core elective maths was different from core maths. So even though the same topics that are in core maths, you find some of them, you find them in the elective maths. The way you handle it in elective maths should be different from the way you handle it in core maths. And these were more or less confusing students. And that is how come that you realize somebody will have core maths, maybe elective maths A1, but when it gets to core maths, he may have maybe D7 or C, because even though they are the same topics, the
approach
scheme and the approach were different. And so now we have separated them. Those that are due for additional mathematics or elective math, we've maintained it. And we think that that is good for engineering and other areas. The ones that we've taken them as core maths or the normal maths, it's also good for anybody who we think that he has to do maths. And everybody in Ghana, every student is supposed to do maths. So these difficult levels, we are trialing them. Immediately we are able to understand the difficult levels based upon the outcome of the trialing. And every 2 weeks we review. Every 2 weeks we get a report to see. I must tell you that the report, the feedback that we are getting from the schools are so positive. Of course, there are areas that we had to take another look. An area subject like chemistry, the reports that we have, the feedback we've gotten so far indicate that the way we've structured the general science, as far as chemistry and other things are so perfect, and we think that that should also find space in the chemistry. And so
we've risen from where,
Bishop, I can assure that I can tell you the fact that we are making giant strides. We have made significant progress. Last week I told you, and last night we were having a discussion on a platform. I mean, Minister has created a platform where some of these things we discuss with some international team concerning assessments and some of the standards. The national standardized tests that we are doing, it's not a fluke.
wow,
It is a way for us to assess the progression of the curriculum that we are running.
okay,
We want to assess the proficiency level of the school children. Bishop, we as an agency, we are responsible in trying to measure the proficiency levels, and we do that by census across the whole country. What it means is that we want to be sure that the data that we have actually reflects the realities. Because, you know, statistically, sampling can somehow find space in trying to define what you want to do, but you might not be that way. But with a census approach of assessing, you can be sure that if this area learners are not doing well, they are not doing well. 2013 and 2015, I mean the last one was done 2015, when we assess the proficiency level of our children in P2, we were having only 2% that were able to read and understand what they were reading. Maybe your curriculum is outdated.
Oh, okay.
So you need to do something beyond what you have been doing all this while. Now, the reason why we review curriculum, there are a lot of them, but let me tell you some. One, relevance to contemporary times. It is important to check whether what you are doing is it relevant now. It could have been better. It had its relevance in those times. And I'm not saying this to downgrade what we have been doing previously.
Okay.
Probably at that time, that was what we needed as a nation. And that is what was put in place. But with the dynamism of societal changes, is it relevant now? Another aspect is global best practices. At that time, probably that was what globally we were looking at. But times have changed. We are moved into an era where technology is reigning, is driving everything. The revolution, educational revolution that we are seeing is more or less industrial revolution that hinges on technology. So it is P2, P4 are able to read with understanding. We are not even doing this for only children in the classroom. At the last 2 months, and as I speak with you, our team is in 5 regions: Northeast, Savannah, Upper East, Upper West, Bono East. We are trying to assess the out-of-school children that the government have planned for. You know, the government had come out with a program that tries to educate students or children that are not in school, out of school.
The GEO project.
Yes, the GEO project. And we are assessing their level of proficiency within that space, especially P2 and P4, to see whether they have also have some learning.
The facilitator is not, maybe by the time they are getting into understanding the curriculum, then it changes, so they have to go again to the classroom to. Is that not the reason why?
No. I believe that once we've trained the teachers and giving them, you know, it's about pedagogy.
Okay.
I can give you the same activities, but pedagogy can change.
Okay.
I can use a different pedagogy on the same items for different people.
Okay.
Based upon their level of assimilation and understanding.
Sure.
And so we think that once you train the teacher to have an understanding of what it means or how to vary your pedagogy, even if you do a variation,
you should be able to.
They should be able to pick it up. And this is what we are doing. Together with NTC, we are training. You see, we don't want to wait until this is done before we do the training. We are doing this alongside. As I speak with you last week, I said it that PLC, that is professional learning
community
activities, are going on in various schools. And yesterday I was on one platform and I was just listening to the feedback from activities that were going on. Of course, there were areas that they were giving challenges, and I could see. And all these things are being done to prepare ourselves for this new curriculum. We think that society has become so dynamic that we don't have to just sit back for longer time to do some of these things.
We had a lot of Ghanaians, they would tell you pi r squared +1 what did we learn from it? But I believe that they will now understand that it's important that we do this. Now, if you are listening to us and you want to talk to Prof or ask Professor Edward Appiah, who is the Director General of NACA, questions, it's time now for you to do so. We're activating the phone lines 0302 20 80 80 0302 20 80 80. Call us and then you can share 302 20 80 80 0302 20 80 80. Prof, last week you made a very powerful statement that I checked, and it is true, that now you'll be reading English book, but you are studying science as you read it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so just so beautiful.
That even brings to mind what I forgot to talk about. We said, and sometimes people accuse us that we have developed on this. Where are the textbooks? Where are the materials? Let me make it clear. NACA, we don't develop textbooks. That policy, which allows anybody, private people, to develop textbooks, is in place, and we assess and approve them. And so we expect publishers and associations, subject associations, to develop it. Now, what we have done to check, but let me also add that with the development of these things, we are preparing materials for both learners and teachers, and we are creating a microsite on our website where all these the book, you will see a bit of, you see even the publishers, you see the day it was assessed and approved, even the time that it was done. And we are doing this because, you see, as I speak with you now, I think we have approved some few JHS materials, about 4 or 5. But I know there are many JHS materials in the schools.
If the publisher is your friend, then the teacher will just say that he recommends a particular book because he knows the person. It's like a business, so it's really not approved by NACA, but for business sake, the students are supposed to buy. So
we don't want a situation where people, they will pick a book and then they say, look, NACA has approved, and it is in there, it is in the schools, and look at what is in the book. We are finding it difficult to talk about the fact that some of these don't come from Africa.
So now
the QR code is there to strengthen our monitoring and our activities.
Great.
So once you pick the book and there's no QR code and you are buying it and you are using it, it is you who are using it.
Okay,
so don't come and say that, NACA has allowed this book to be, or has approved. It's no.
All right, thank you very much, Prof. Before you continue, 0302 2080 0302 2080. You can call us if you have a question to ask. Prof.
All right.
Please continue.
And we want to encourage the public, school heads, proprietors, teachers to go on App Store, Google Store, download this and use them. Right now, when NASIA, that is the inspectorate body, the agency in the ministry, they are inspecting, they go to the schools to inspect facilities and other things, including even the curriculum that is being run. Now we've given them the chance, we've given them what it takes to check. And so when they come to the schools, they want to check to see whether these books that are being used are approved books. And we don't want situations where people, I know the private schools associations are coming to us and say we are harassing their teachers. And when I see go to the schools, they harass them because they see the books and they say the books are not used and they don't know which ones are approved. And it's more reason why we want them to use and approve books. And of course, the ministry has also through subject associations has also now made available textbooks in science, maths, creative arts, and social studies, which is also coming available, JHS 1, 2, and 3. And so they can use it. And of course, we've also made the private schools came and they wanted to also have a share of, and we expect that parents will also help in this. I mean, looking at the timetable, then you can look at the number of books. Sometimes, well, the students will say that they will go and then the classes changes. But if it's the timetable is fixed enough, I don't think this will happen. I last week, a friend whose son is in, I think, Fansipim, came home. In fact, she was called to come and pick the child. The diagnosis indicates that the child has been
Carrying books.
carrying this heavy load.
My daughter has the same problem. That's why I asked it.
Okay, so now the friend is saying that, of course, he's being treated now, but the friend is saying that he's going to buy the bag that you can pull along, which has wheels on. But then I said, the best thing is to look at the books. Sometimes we put so much stress on these little
Children,
ones, and it's telling them. Let me also bring out one major thing in the new curriculum, and it's about interventions and remedials.
Great.
We have developed intervention for English and intervention for maths, and these find space on the timetable. Bishop, you and I know that so many people are struggling with English. They come to senior high school and they still struggle with English and maybe maths. So we are being intentional in developing that, and we are saying that the minimum number of subjects the child can exit is 7, and then the maximum is 9. If a child comes to senior high school and we realize that the first week we expect students and the teachers to do an assessment class and be able to check the proficiency level of the children. Those that are weak in maths, they should be given that intervention for maths. Those that are weak in English, they should be given that intervention. Now, on the timetable, there is time for what we remedials or intervention, where we expect those that are weak to be having extra dose of the English and the extra dose of the mathematics. By so doing, and the other a teacher friend of mine was saying, level. One other thing that we have done with this new curriculum is to, and I don't know, the other day I mentioned that we have even introduced physical education and health.
Okay.
We have done this in such a way that we want to promote gifted and talented students. There are students who are gifted. Giving them the chance, they can do more than what you are giving them. And this intervention level or proficiency level is helping us to identify those gifted and talented. We've also not left the physically disabled and the other people. This curriculum is more or less an inclusive, intentional, inclusive, social inclusivity is part of it. We are even not, but we are doing it to be able to roll out for everybody, every Ghanaian child, and that is one mark of this new curriculum that we have done. And we believe, come 2024, 2025, and 2025, 2026, we will see tremendous improvement. Let me say, Bishop, that those